Marc Dutroux, a name that evokes horror and tragedy, stands as one of the most notorious criminals in Belgium's history. His story is not just about his crimes, but also the systemic failures that allowed his heinous acts to go unchecked for years, leading to widespread societal outrage and significant legal reforms. Born on November 6, 1956, in Sint-Agatha-Berchem, a suburb of Brussels, Marc Dutroux grew up in a troubled family. His father was a police officer, which should have fostered a sense of justice, but instead, it created a cold and authoritarian atmosphere at home. His mother was described as neglectful, leading to a childhood filled with emotional trauma. From a young age, Dutroux exhibited troubling behaviors. He struggled academically and was eventually expelled from school for poor performance and disruptive behavior. As a teenager, he became involved in petty crimes, marking the beginning of his deviant path. His early encounters with the law set a precedent that would continue into adulthood. In 1977, at the age of 20, Dutroux was first convicted for theft. This was merely a prelude to more serious offences. By the late 1980s, his criminal activities had escalated to include sexual offences. In 1986, he was convicted of the sexual assault of a minor, yet he received only a short sentence. After serving just over 3 years, he was released, a decision that would have devastating consequences. Dutroux continued to engage in criminal behavior after his release. In 1989, he was arrested for the kidnapping of 2 young girls, but again received a lenient sentence. His ability to avoid serious consequences emboldened him and laid the groundwork for his later, more heinous crimes. Dutroux's most infamous crimes occurred between 1995 and 1996. In this period, he kidnapped, abused, and murdered several young girls, which would mark a dark chapter in Belgium's history. His known victims included Julie Lejoin, 8 years old, and Melissa Rousseau, 8 years old. In June 1995, Dutroux abducted these 2 girls. They were held captive in his home for several weeks before being found dead in a concealed pit in his backyard in August 1995. Their deaths shocked the nation and brought Dutroux under intense scrutiny. Another girl, 10 years old. In March 1996, he abducted another girl, who was later rescued, but had suffered significant trauma during her captivity. Letitia Delhez, 16 years old. She was kidnapped by Dutroux in 1996. Fortunately, she managed to escape and provided vital information that led to the unraveling of Dutroux's criminal network. Dutroux used various methods to lure his victims, including offering them rides or using false promises. He constructed hidden compartments in his home, which he used to keep the girls captive, often subjecting them to horrific abuse. He had accomplices, including his then-wife, who helped facilitate his crimes. Dutroux was finally arrested on August 13, 1996, after police discovered the bodies of Julie and Melissa buried in his backyard. This discovery came after years of tips and warnings about his behavior had been ignored or mishandled by law enforcement. The investigation that followed revealed a shocking failure within the Belgian police and judicial systems. Numerous warnings had been ignored, and the police had failed to act on crucial information. Public outrage grew. It became clear that the system had failed to protect the children, leading to protests and demands for accountability. Dutroux's trial began in March 2004 and was one of the most highly publicized trials in Belgian history. He faced charges of kidnapping, rape, and murder. The proceedings were marked by harrowing testimonies from survivors and the families of victims, highlighting the deep psychological scars left by his actions. On June 17, 2004, Dutroux was found guilty on multiple counts, including the abduction, sexual abuse, and murder of young girls. He was sentenced to life in prison, a verdict many felt was inadequate given the scale of his crimes. The trial served as a painful reminder of the systemic failures that allowed his behavior to go unchecked for so long. The Dutroux case had profound implications for Belgium and beyond. It exposed serious flaws in the police and judicial systems, prompting widespread calls for reform. The public demanded changes to protect children better and improve the response to sexual offences. In response to the national outcry, the Belgian government implemented several reforms aimed at improving child protection. These included establishing a national child protection agency, enhancing training for law enforcement officers on handling missing children cases and sexual offences, increasing collaboration between police and social services to ensure a more coordinated response to potential threats to children. The case also led to a greater awareness of child safety issues, fostering the creation of advocacy groups focused on preventing child abuse and protecting vulnerable populations. Marc Dutroux's story is a chilling reminder of the potential for evil within society and the critical need for vigilance in protecting the vulnerable. His heinous acts devastated families and communities and revealed deep flaws in the systems designed to safeguard children. As Belgium continues to grapple with the legacy of Dutroux, the nation remains committed to fostering a safer environment for children and ensuring that such atrocities are never repeated. The case serves as a stark warning of the consequences of inaction and the importance of reforming societal structures to protect those who cannot protect themselves.